Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode where we explore the darker corners of Hong Kong's nightlife. Tonight, we're stepping into karaoke rooms, those neon-lit sanctuaries where friends gather to sing away their troubles and strangers become best friends over shared microphones. But what happens when the last song of the night isn't sung by anyone in your group? And we'll explore the cultural beliefs about why music and spirits seem to find each other in the city's endless night. Let's call him Marcus, a 26-year-old equity analyst who worked the Asian markets from a gleaming tower in Central. Like many Hong Kong finance workers, Marcus lived for Friday nights, the moment when market stress could be temporarily forgotten through the ritual of karaoke with colleagues and friends. Marcus had discovered Golden Voice KTV in Tsim Sha Tsui during his first year in Hong Kong, drawn by its reputation for superior sound systems and extensive Cantonese song selection. The venue occupied 4 floors of a converted commercial building, its interior designed with the gaudy glamour that defined Hong Kong's entertainment district. Mirrored walls, LED lighting systems, and private rooms ranging from intimate spaces for couples to party halls that could accommodate dozens. His routine was religiously consistent. Every Friday after market close, Marcus would gather 3 or 4 colleagues from his trading floor and head straight to Golden Voice. They always requested room 308, a medium-sized space on the 3rd floor that offered the perfect balance of intimacy and acoustics for their group's preferred singing style. Marcus possessed what his friends considered an unusual talent for a British Chinese professional. He had an exceptional voice for Cantonese pop music. Growing up in London with immigrant parents, he had absorbed Hong Kong's musical culture through family gatherings and weekend Chinese school, developing an emotional connection to songs that expressed experiences he was only beginning to understand as an adult living in his parents' homeland. Room 308 became his weekly sanctuary. The space featured dark red carpeting, black leather sofas arranged in a U shape around a large wall-mounted screen, and a sound system that could make even mediocre singers sound professional. Marcus knew every detail of the room: the slightly loose microphone cord on the left side mic, the way the air conditioning created a gentle draft near the window, the precise volume setting that maximized vocal clarity without overwhelming the harmonies. His colleagues typically departed around midnight, citing early morning responsibilities or family commitments. But Marcus often stayed until the venue's 4 a.m. closing time, sometimes singing alone, sometimes with whatever random mix of expatriate professionals and local night owls happened to be in the mood for extended sessions. These solo hours were when Marcus felt most connected to Hong Kong's cultural heartbeat. Alone with the microphone and the endless song catalog, he would work through entire discographies of Cantonese legends, treating each session like a personal concert where he could explore emotional depths that his professional life rarely allowed. During a particularly intense Friday session in early October, Marcus found himself in room 308, with only his colleague David, a fellow analyst who shared his appreciation for late-night karaoke marathons. They had been singing steadily since 11 p.m., working through their usual repertoire of crowd pleasers and personal favorites. Around 2:30 a.m., as they launched into a duet of a classic Leslie Chung ballad, something unusual occurred. A third voice began harmonizing with their performance. Soft, almost whispered, but unmistakably present through the room's sound system. The voice was soprano, clearly female, and demonstrated perfect knowledge of the song's intricate harmonies. Marcus and David paused mid-verse, looking at each other with confusion. The third voice continued for several seconds before stopping abruptly, as if realizing it had been singing alone. "Did you hear that?" Marcus asked, though David's expression already confirmed that he had. "Maybe it's bleeding through from another room," David suggested, though his tone carried doubt. The harmonies had been too perfectly timed, too specifically matched to their vocal ranges and song choice, to be accidental audio spillage. They resumed singing, and within moments the third voice returned, adding ethereal harmonies that enhanced rather than competed with their performance. The mysterious singer seemed to know not just the melody and lyrics, but also the emotional phrasing that made each song distinctive. Marcus had been singing Cantonese pop for years, but he had never heard harmonies quite like these. The voice added layers of musical sophistication that transformed their amateur karaoke into something approaching professional performance quality. Yet there was something haunting about the tone, a melancholy that seemed to emanate from deep emotional experience. When they finished the song, the room fell silent except for the air conditioning's gentle hum. Marcus checked the song queue on their touchscreen, but it showed only the selections they had made. The room's booking system indicated only 2 active users, Marcus and David. They experimented with different songs for the next hour, and consistently, whenever they chose Cantonese ballads from the 1980s or early 1990s, the mysterious third voice would join them. Contemporary pop songs and English-language selections remained duets, but the classic Cantonese material seemed to summon their invisible singing partner. Most unsettling was the voice's emotional quality. While Marcus and David sang for fun and stress relief, their mysterious companions seemed to be singing from a place of profound sadness, as if each ballad were a personal lament rather than entertainment. The following Friday, Marcus and David returned to room 308 with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. They had spent the week discussing their previous experience, trying to find rational explanations while privately admitting that they both hoped to encounter the mysterious voice again. This time, they came prepared. David brought a small audio recorder, while Marcus had downloaded an app that could analyze sound frequencies and identify audio sources. They were determined to document whatever was happening in their karaoke room. They began their session with contemporary songs, establishing a baseline for normal audio conditions. The room's acoustics behaved exactly as expected. Their voices, the backing tracks, and the occasional sound of air conditioning or foot traffic in the hallway outside. At exactly 2:33 a.m., Marcus noted the precise time. They queued up the same Leslie Chung ballad that had triggered their previous encounter. Within moments of beginning to sing, the third voice joined them, but this time with a crucial difference. The harmonizing voice was definitely coming from their own room's sound system, not from adjacent spaces. More specifically, it seemed to be coming through a microphone channel that shouldn't exist. When Marcus paused his own singing to listen carefully, he could hear the subtle electronic feedback that indicated an active microphone, the slight reverb and frequency signature that distinguished live vocal input from recorded backing tracks. But only 2 microphones were visible in room 308, both accounted for in Marcus and David's hands. David's audio recorder captured everything clearly. 2 male voices singing the main melody and harmony, accompanied by a female voice that demonstrated perfect microphone technique and professional-level breath control. The frequency analysis showed 3 distinct vocal signatures, each registering as live input rather than recorded audio. Most disturbing was what happened when they stopped singing. The third voice continued for several seconds, as if unaware that her duet partners had stopped. In those solo moments, her voice carried a desperation that transformed the romantic ballad into something that sounded like a plea. When Marcus called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" the singing stopped immediately, replaced by what sounded like soft crying, not coming through the sound system, but seeming to emanate from the room itself. They spent the rest of the night experimenting with different songs and scenarios. The mysterious voice appeared consistently with 1980s Cantonese ballads, particularly songs about lost love and unfulfilled dreams. She seemed to know hundreds of songs from that era, adding harmonies that suggested deep familiarity with Hong Kong's golden age of pop music. But she never spoke, never responded to their questions, and never sang anything contemporary or upbeat. Her repertoire seemed frozen in a specific time period, as if her musical knowledge had stopped growing decades ago. On their third consecutive Friday in room 308, Marcus and David decided to stay specifically for their 2:33 a.m. encounters. They had become fascinated by their mysterious singing partner, treating each session like a paranormal investigation combined with a musical collaboration. This time, something unprecedented occurred. At exactly 2:33 a.m., instead of waiting for Marcus and David to select a song, the room's karaoke system activated on its own. The large screen lit up with lyrics and music video for a song they hadn't chosen, Late Night Confession by Paula Tsui, a melancholy ballad from 1987 about a woman waiting for a lover who would never return. The touchscreen's interface showed that someone named Jenny L. had added the song to their queue, with a timestamp indicating the selection had been made moments earlier. But Marcus and David had been sitting together on the sofa, nowhere near the song selection terminal, watching the system operate itself. As the backing track began, the mysterious voice started singing immediately, not harmonizing with them this time, but performing a full solo rendition of the song. Her voice filled the room with raw emotion, transforming the karaoke performance into something that felt like a live concert by a professional artist. Marcus and David sat in stunned silence, listening to what was undoubtedly the most beautiful and heartbreaking singing they had ever heard in person. The voice demonstrated not just technical skill, but deep emotional connection to the lyrics, as if she were singing about her own experiences rather than performing someone else's song. During the instrumental bridge, they could see additional activity on the touchscreen. Jenny L. was browsing through the song catalog, adding more selections to their queue, all 1980s Cantonese ballads, all dealing with themes of lost love and unfulfilled promises. When Late Night Confession ended, the next song began automatically, then another. For the next hour, Marcus and David essentially attended a private concert performed by someone they couldn't see in a room designed for their own entertainment. The performance was so compelling that they forgot to feel frightened. Jenny's voice carried such authentic emotion that her invisibility seemed less important than the fact that she was sharing something deeply personal through her music. But as the night progressed, the songs became increasingly desperate in tone. The final selection was Last Dance by Anita Mui, a song about saying goodbye forever to someone you love. Jenny's rendition was so emotionally intense that both Marcus and David found themselves crying, overwhelmed by the raw pain in her voice. When the song ended, the room fell completely silent. The touchscreen showed Jenny L. as offline, and no more songs appeared in their queue. For their fourth Friday encounter, Marcus brought professional recording equipment borrowed from a friend who worked in Hong Kong's film industry. He was determined to document their experiences with Jenny, driven by a combination of scientific curiosity and growing emotional attachment to their mysterious singing companion. He set up multiple cameras around room 308, positioning them to capture different angles of the space, including the corners where Jenny's voice seemed to originate most clearly. He also brought audio recording equipment capable of isolating and analyzing individual vocal tracks. At 2:33 a.m., right on schedule, the karaoke system activated and Jenny began her nightly performance. But tonight, the cameras captured something that challenged everything Marcus thought he understood about their situation. In the room's mirrored walls, surfaces that should have reflected only Marcus and David, a third figure appeared during the singing episodes. She was translucent but clearly visible. A young woman in her mid-20s wearing clothing that looked distinctly 1980s, with shoulder-length permed hair and understated makeup that matched the fashion of Hong Kong's entertainment industry from that era. Most remarkably, she was holding what appeared to be a microphone, though no third microphone existed in the physical space. Her lip movements matched the audio perfectly, confirming that the voice they had been hearing belonged to this apparition. The figure seemed aware of being observed. During one song, she looked directly at one of Marcus's cameras, offering a sad smile that conveyed both gratitude for their attention and profound loneliness. Her eyes held a depth of sadness that suggested someone who had experienced significant emotional trauma. The audio analysis revealed even more disturbing details. The mysterious voice was being recorded by Marcus's equipment as if someone were physically present in the room, complete with spatial audio characteristics that indicated she was moving around the space as she sang. The microphone she appeared to be holding was registering on audio equipment as an active input device, despite not existing in physical reality. Most unsettling was what the cameras captured during the silence between songs. The apparition would sit in the room's corner, near the window, appearing to wait patiently for the next musical opportunity. She seemed to be experiencing the karaoke room exactly as a living person would, comfortable in the familiar space, anticipating the next performance, treating Marcus and David as welcome companions in her nightly ritual. The footage also revealed something Marcus and David had missed during their live experiences. Jenny was lip-syncing along with their songs, even when she wasn't actively singing. She knew every word of every Cantonese ballad they performed, as if their entire song catalog held deep personal significance for her. When they reviewed the footage later, Marcus noticed one particularly chilling detail. In several shots, Jenny appeared to be crying while she sang, tears that reflected the room's colored lighting but cast no shadows and left no trace. Armed with video evidence of their supernatural encounters, Marcus decided to approach Golden Voice KTV's management. He requested a meeting with the night shift manager, a middle-aged man named Mr. Wong, who had worked at the venue for over 20 years. Mr. Wong initially responded with the practiced skepticism of someone who had heard every possible customer complaint. But when Marcus showed him selected clips from his recordings, carefully edited to show Jenny's appearance without revealing her full identity, the manager's expression changed dramatically. "Room 308, Mr. Wong said quietly, studying the footage. "You've been using room 308 for these late-night sessions?" "Yes. Do you know something about that room?" Mr. Wong was silent for several minutes, clearly debating how much to reveal. Finally, he gestured for Marcus to follow him to his office, away from other staff members and customers. "What I'm going to tell you is not part of our official customer service policy," Mr. Wong began. "But you seem like a serious person, and this situation has been ongoing for 15 years. He pulled out a folder of incident reports and old documentation, the kind of records that businesses keep but hope never to use. In March 2009, we had a tragedy in room 308. A young woman named Jenny Liu booked the room for what she called an engagement celebration. She arrived alone around 11 p.m., saying her fiancé would join her later. She stayed in the room until after 4 a.m., singing continuously. Marcus felt cold recognition spreading through his chest. What happened to her? The next afternoon, our cleaning staff found her in the room. The medical examiner determined she had died of a heart condition, likely triggered by extreme emotional distress. She was still sitting on the sofa, microphone in her hand, with the karaoke system showing dozens of love songs in her queue. Mr. Wong showed Marcus a photograph from the incident report, a professional headshot that Jenny had apparently used for her booking profile. It was unmistakably the same woman Marcus had been seeing in room 308's mirrors. Her fiancé never showed up, Mr. Wong continued. We learned later that he had broken off their engagement earlier that day, but hadn't told her directly. She spent her last night singing all their favorite songs, waiting for someone who was never coming. Have other customers reported similar experiences? Every few months, usually during late-night sessions in room 308, always around 2:33 a.m., that was the time she was found the next morning. Most customers just change rooms when they notice strange audio effects, but a few have described encounters very similar to what you've documented. Mr. Wong revealed that the venue had considered permanently closing room 308, but the supernatural encounters weren't consistently negative. Some customers reported that Jenny's presence enhanced their karaoke experience, providing beautiful harmonies and creating an atmosphere of shared musical appreciation. What happens to the customers who have these encounters? Marcus asked. Most just have interesting stories to tell, but some, Mr. Wong paused, looking concerned. Some become obsessed with returning. They book room 308 specifically for the late hours, claiming they're developing a musical partnership with Jenny. We've had to ban a few customers who started treating the room like their personal shrine to her memory. Despite Mr. Wong's warnings, Marcus found himself unable to stay away from room 308. Knowledge of Jenny's tragic story had transformed his encounters with her from mysterious curiosity to deep emotional connection. He began coming to Golden Voice alone, booking the rooms specifically for the late hours when Jenny would appear. His Friday night routine evolved into something that concerned his friends and colleagues. Instead of the social karaoke sessions that had originally brought him to the venue, Marcus now treated room 308 like a private performance space where he and Jenny could develop their musical collaboration. He spent hours researching 1980s Hong Kong pop music, learning obscure songs from Jenny's era, studying the emotional context that might have made these ballads personally significant to her. His apartment filled with vintage Cantonese albums and biographies of singers from Jenny's generation. Marcus began arriving at Golden Voice around midnight and staying until closing time, spending the first few hours warming up his voice and selecting songs he thought Jenny might enjoy. At 2:33 a.m., when she appeared, their duets had evolved into sophisticated musical partnerships that demonstrated genuine artistic chemistry. Other customers started requesting different rooms after hearing strange harmonies coming from room 308. The venue's staff reported that Marcus could be heard having animated conversations with someone who never responded audibly, discussing song choices and emotional interpretations, as if receiving detailed feedback from an invisible musical coach. Marcus's behavior outside the karaoke venue also changed dramatically. He stopped attending social events that didn't involve music, began declining weekend plans that might interfere with his Friday night sessions, and started talking about Jenny as if she were a living friend rather than a supernatural encounter. His colleagues noticed that his Cantonese language skills had improved remarkably, not just vocabulary and pronunciation, but cultural understanding that suggested immersion in Hong Kong's emotional landscape. Marcus could now discuss nuances of Cantonese pop music with native speakers, demonstrating knowledge that seemed to have appeared overnight. Most concerning to his friends was Marcus's increasing isolation from living relationships. He would cancel dinner plans, avoid dating opportunities, and spend most conversations talking about his musical partnership with someone his friends couldn't meet. The final sign that Marcus had crossed into unhealthy obsession came when other Golden Voice customers began reporting encounters with a male voice joining Jenny's late-night performances in room 308, even when the booking system showed the room as empty. Staff members conducting closing time checks would find the room apparently unoccupied, but filled with the sound of two voices singing emotional duets. Marcus had become part of Jenny's nightly ritual, but the question remained whether he was helping a lonely spirit find peace, or whether he was joining her in a form of eternal emotional stasis that prevented both of them from moving forward. To understand what happened to Marcus and Jenny, we must explore the profound connection between music and spiritual belief in Chinese culture, particularly as it manifests in Hong Kong's unique entertainment landscape. Traditional Chinese philosophy recognizes music as one of the most powerful forces for connecting the material and spiritual worlds. The ancient concept of qi suggests that emotional energy, when expressed through music, can create vibrations that transcend normal physical boundaries. Intense musical performances, particularly those involving deep emotional pain or joy, are believed to leave lasting impressions in the spaces where they occur. Karaoke venues represent a modern evolution of this ancient understanding. Unlike concert halls or recording studios, karaoke rooms are designed for amateur emotional expression, spaces where ordinary people can experience the cathartic release that comes from singing with complete vulnerability. The combination of private space, emotional intensity, and repetitive musical performance creates what traditional beliefs would recognize as ideal conditions for spiritual encounters. The phenomenon of quote-unquote singing ghosts appears throughout Asian folklore, describing spirits who died while music held particular significance to their emotional state. These ghosts are drawn to spaces where others express similar feelings through song, seeking the connection and emotional release that music provided them in life. Dr. Michael Chen, an ethnomusicologist at Hong Kong University, explains, quote, "Karaoke culture in Hong Kong serves multiple psychological functions: social bonding, emotional therapy, cultural identity expression. When someone dies while these needs are still unfulfilled, traditional beliefs suggest they might continue seeking satisfaction through musical encounters with the living. Jenny's case represents a specific category of singing ghost, the waiting spirit, who died while anticipating someone who never arrived. Her attachment to room 308 and her nightly performances suggests she's still waiting for her fiancé, still hoping that the right song might somehow bring him back or provide closure to their interrupted relationship." The cultural implications extend beyond individual supernatural encounters. Hong Kong's karaoke industry has quietly developed protocols for dealing with impossible audio phenomena, training staff to handle customer reports of mysterious voices and unexplained harmonies. Some venues have embraced these encounters as part of their mystique, while others actively discourage late-night bookings that might facilitate spiritual contact. Modern feng shui practitioners advise caution when engaging in emotionally intense activities in spaces where others have experienced significant trauma. The combination of music, late hours, and emotional vulnerability that defines karaoke culture can create psychological conditions that make individuals more susceptible to spiritual influence, or more likely to project their own needs onto ambiguous experiences. What happened to Marcus in that karaoke room? Was Jenny's spirit genuinely sharing her love of music? Or was Marcus experiencing an elaborate psychological break triggered by Hong Kong's isolated nightlife culture? Perhaps the late hours, alcohol consumption, and emotional vulnerability that karaoke encourages created conditions for hallucinations that felt entirely real. The evidence could be explained by audio equipment malfunctions, psychological suggestion, and the power of expectation in emotionally charged environments. Or maybe, in a city where millions of people seek connection through shared experiences, we've created spaces where the boundary between the living and the dead becomes as thin as a song's final note. The next time you're singing in a Hong Kong karaoke room after midnight and you hear a voice that doesn't belong to anyone in your group, ask yourself, is that an echo from the sound system or someone who's still waiting for their duet partner to arrive? What do you think happened? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more true ghost stories from across Asia.